We're finally getting closer. After meses of silence, trade rumors, and workout videos, NBA basketball is almost back, and the Boston Celtics are wasting no time setting the tone for what could be a season of transformation. Training camp is here, and with it, we're starting to get a real look into how this team wants to play. It's fast, it's aggressive, it's relentless, and honestly, it's about time. Over the past few years, the Celtics have been defined more by their talent than their pace. With stars like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, Boston hasn't needed to speed things up to win games. They've been comfortable operating in half-court sets, methodically picking apart defenses and relying on individual shot-making to close out games. That's been the formula. But this season, head coach Joe Mazzulla seems ready to throw that script out the window. Reports out of training camp are loud and clear. This team is running hard. From the very first drill, players are pushing the tempo, getting into offensive sets faster, and playing with an urgency that simply hasn't been part of the Celtics' DNA in years. Peyton Pritchard, one of the most vocal players so far, said it best: Boston wants to play much faster this season. And that statement isn't just coach speak or training camp hype. It's a clear shift in identity. Let's not forget, the Celtics finished near the bottom of the league in pace last season. They ranked 29th. That's right, second to last. Since drafting Tatum in 2017, they haven't cracked the top half in pace even once. But according to The Athletic, Mazzulla is now emphasizing a significant stylistic overhaul. That's not a minor tweak. That's a foundational change, and it speaks volumes about how Boston is thinking heading into this new chapter. Now, before anyone jumps to conclusions, playing faster doesn't necessarily mean turning into the old D'Antoni Suns overnight. We're not talking about launching a shot 5 seconds into the clock every trip down. But there's a difference between chaos and controlled aggression. What we're seeing in these early practices is the Celtics looking to cut out the dead time, pushing the ball up the floor, initiating offense quicker, and forcing defenses to react before they're set. That slight shift in tempo might be enough to unlock a new gear for a team that's already among the league's elite. And it makes sense. If you've got athletes like Jaylen Brown, who's reportedly in the best shape of his life after dealing with a knee issue last year, and dynamic guards like Pritchard and even Simons if he gets extended minutes, why not let them run? Why not weaponize conditioning and pace the same way other teams do shooting or switchability? This isn't just theory, either. There's precedent. Take a look at how the Chicago Bulls played during the second half of last season. No, they weren't running hockey-style substitutions with 4 guys in and 4 out like Mazzulla seems to be flirting with, but they did crank the tempo up to an exhausting level. They leaned into fitness, wore teams down with constant movement, and by the time the fourth quarter hit, opponents were gassed. That's not just fun basketball. That's smart strategy, especially if you're trying to close the gap against teams with deeper benches or more star power. And let's be honest, there's something incredibly demoralizing about facing a team that never stops. A team that doesn't take possessions off. That picks up full court. That makes you work for every inch. It's the basketball version of the knuckleball pitcher in baseball. You can prepare all you want, but if you're not used to it, you're going to struggle. It's unorthodox. It's uncomfortable. It forces you into mistakes. That might just be what Mazzulla is building, a chaos machine. A team that thrives on intensity, thrives on tempo, and drags opponents into unfamiliar territory where fatigue and frustration start to set in. And if that's the plan, then every player on the roster needs to be ready to run, rotate, and recover. No exceptions. Which brings us to the roster. Because if Boston is truly going to play this way, it's not just the stars who matter. Depth becomes critical. Versatility becomes non-negotiable. And that's where things get really interesting. Let's talk about Josh Minott for a second. A guy who, let's be honest, hasn't gotten much of a spotlight until now. He's barely had any NBA playing time. He spent the last couple of years buried on the bench in Minnesota. But now, according to reporting from The Athletic, he might be on the verge of an opportunity. Why? Because this Celtics roster, especially at the 4, is thin. And if Sam Hauser gets moved in a potential cap-clearing deal, Minott could slide right into meaningful minutes. The thing is, Minott has potential. He came into the league as a non-shooter, but last season, across limited NBA and G League minutes, he attempted threes at a solid rate and shot over 85% from the free throw line. That's encouraging. That's not just raw athleticism. That's a skill foundation developing in the background. And if the Celtics are going to play with pace, they're going to need guys like him. Long, athletic, mobile forwards who could defend on the perimeter, crash the glass, and stretch the floor just enough to keep defenses honest. And again, we're not projecting superstardom here. We're just saying, if Minot can give you competent, high-energy minutes off the bench, and maybe hit that open corner three when it matters, that could be enough to tilt a few games, especially early in the season when rotations are still being tested. Think about it from a development standpoint, too. If the Celtics are serious about playing faster, that opens the door for young players to carve out roles not through polish, but through effort. Guys like Jordan Walsh, Baylor Shireman, even Hugo Gonzalez, they might not be the most NBA-ready players on the roster, but if they can keep up, stay aggressive, and avoid being liabilities on defense, they'll get chances. Same goes for the bigs. With the trio of Neemias Queta, Xavier Tillman, and Luka Garza, the Buffaloes, as Sam Hauser reportedly calls them, there's an opportunity to turn a perceived weakness into a strength. These aren't all-stars. They're not Al Horford. But if you're playing up-tempo, if you're emphasizing speed and spacing and effort over finesse, you don't need elite post play. You just need guys who can run, rim protect, and keep the offense moving. And if any of these bigs can consistently knock down the corner three, suddenly you've got a floor-spacing five who keeps defenses stretched thin and creates more driving lanes for the guards and wings. It's also worth noting that with Horford on a 2-year deal and pushing 40, the Celtics need to figure out who their next reliable bigs are. Maybe it's Queta, maybe it's Tillman, maybe Garza surprises people, but they'll need someone to step up. And the way you do that in Mazzulla's system is by fitting the pace-first mentality. Slow feet don't eat in this version of the Celtics. All of this, the tempo, the rotation possibilities, the emphasis on conditioning and aggression, it's painting a picture of Celtics team that's finally willing to embrace chaos. And for a franchise that's often leaned on stability and structure, that's a bold move. But it might just be the thing that gets them over the hump. If there's one thing that training camp always brings, it's optimism. Every player is in the best shape of their life. Every team is talking about culture. Every coach believes this is the year. But with the Celtics, it feels a little different this time, like something is genuinely shifting beneath the surface. It's not just about new plays or player development. It's about mindset, tempo, intention. This team wants to play like they have something to prove, and that starts with the guys who have been waiting for their moment. Take Peyton Pritchard again. He's not a new face. He's not a mystery. Celtics fans know what he brings: energy, shooting, confidence. But this new system, this new pace, it suits him perfectly. He's the kind of player who thrives in chaos. Give him the green light to push in transition, to catch a scrambling defense off guard, and you'll start seeing how valuable a player like that could be across an 82-game season. There's less hesitation, less half-court grinding, just movement and rhythm. And that could be the recipe for a breakout year, especially now that the backcourt has a little less congestion. And it's not just Pritchard. Guys like Anthony Simons, who haven't always had the spotlight, could benefit just as much from this shift. Fast basketball favors guards who can create off the dribble, who can attack open space, who aren't afraid to shoot early in the shot clock. If you've got that in your DNA, this new-look Celtics system might feel like a playground. Simons could easily slide into a microwave scoring role, the kind of bench spark that keeps leads safe or digs the team out of cold stretches. But he's not the only one under the microscope this preseason. Everyone's watching what Josh Minot is going to bring. After 3 years stuck behind veterans in Minnesota, this is his shot. And let's not pretend he's just going to be handed minutes. He's got to earn them. But with Hauser potentially on the trade block and a thin depth chart at forward, opportunity is knocking. And in this system, if you bring energy, if you run the floor, if you buy in on both ends, you'll play. That's the message. It's up to guys like Minot to take that seriously. From a development perspective, it's actually pretty exciting. Too often teams talk about building for the future while their young players ride the bench. Boston might not have the deepest rotation right now, but that could be a blessing. It means real chances for younger players. Jordan Walsh is still raw, but if he can guard wings and hit the occasional shot, he could carve out a role. Baylor Shireman is another guy who could fit the new system well. He's active, smart, and not afraid to make quick decisions. Even Hugo Gonzalez, though still an unknown at the NBA level, might have a shot if he can adapt quickly to the speed of the game. That's the thing. Speed is no longer optional. It's required. If you can't run, if you can't switch, if you can't keep up with the pace this team wants to play at, you're going to get left behind. It doesn't matter what your resume says or where you were drafted. In this version of the Celtics, the rotation is going to be earned through effort and execution. And that brings us back to the front court. Because for all the talk about wings and guards, the big men are going to have to do just as much adjusting. With Horford's age and Robert Williams no longer on the roster, the Celtics have real question marks at center. That's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means we're going to learn a lot very quickly. Neemias Queta, Xavier Tillman, and Luka Garza are all entering the season with something to prove. None of them are locks to be in the regular rotation, but they've each got tools that could thrive in this new system. Tillman, for example, has reportedly slimmed down and is moving well. Last season, he dealt with persistent knee swelling, but now, fully healthy, he could be a sneaky good piece. If he can continue knocking down those corner threes and stay mobile on defense, he brings a little bit of that Al Horford versatility. Not to the same level, but enough to make him reliable. And again, the pace factor matters here. In a high-speed system, you don't need your bigs posting up or playing in the half court every possession. You need them screening, rolling hard, cleaning the glass, and keeping the defense honest from deep. That's how you contribute. Garza, on the other hand, is more of a finesse big. He's never been the fastest guy on the court, but he's skilled and has a good feel for the game. If he can keep up with the tempo and find ways to stretch the floor, he could offer a unique change of pace option off the bench. Queta might be the most physically imposing of the three. He's long, strong, and can alter shots at the rim. If his conditioning is there and he embraces the up-tempo system, he might surprise some people. None of these guys are locks, but they all have a path to real minutes if they seize the moment. And don't forget, there's still the looming reality of the trade deadline. The Celtics are over the luxury tax, and it's very likely they'll have to make a move or two to balance the books. That could mean minutes open up mid-season. That could mean new faces join the roster. But more importantly, it means the current rotation is still very much in flux. Nothing is set in stone, and that creates a sense of urgency for every player fighting for a spot. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers in the NBA world are growing louder, and the latest rumor could shake the league to its core. Could Victor Wembanyama, the 7'4" French prodigy whose name has become synonymous with generational talent, be joining forces with Jason Tatum in Boston? Sources close to the situation hint that the Celtics are quietly exploring ways to pair their star forward with the league's most hyped young center, and fans are already buzzing with anticipation. Wembanyama's meteoric rise has made him the object of desire for nearly every team in the league, but the Celtics' combination of championship pedigree, culture, and a franchise cornerstone in Tatum makes Boston a tantalizing destination. Insiders suggest that the organization has been in preliminary talks with Wembanyama's camp, gauging interest without committing publicly, a classic case of keeping options close to the chest. The implications of such a union are staggering. Imagine Tatum's scoring prowess and leadership meshing with Wembanyama's unprecedented defensive versatility and shot-blocking ability. Analysts are already speculating that the Celtics could vault to instant title contention if the pieces fall into place. But as with all rumors, skepticism runs deep. Contract logistics, cap space, and Wembanyama's own preferences could all throw cold water on the fire. Still, the mere possibility has ignited fervor among fans and media alike. Social media is buzzing with speculation, memes, and mock-ups of Celtics jerseys bearing Wembanyama's name. Commentators are weighing the strategic fit, debating whether Wembanyama's skill set complements Boston's system or if his arrival would disrupt the chemistry Tatum has built over years. Some whispers hint at a blockbuster trade scenario, while others suggest a bold free agency play that could redefine the franchise's trajectory. Whether this rumor materializes or remains just a tantalizing what if, it's clear that the Celtics are once again at the center of the NBA's most intriguing conversation. For now, fans can only imagine a new era in Boston basketball, one where Tatum and Wembanyama lead the charge and the league braces for a seismic shift. The whispers may just be the start of something historic. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.